Hello gamers, today we're going to be talking about the supposedly free 5-star sword that we'll be getting in Snezhnaya. And the sword is specifically meant to work with the Traveler, so we're going to also talk about the Cryo Traveler and the Cryo Traveler kit. And like most Genshin kits, there's a bunch of like random words and jargon that they use to make it sound complicated, but really it's a pretty simple kit. But let's talk about the sword first. So this is a 608 base attack sword with 33.1 crit rate. Now, I don't know if we will be able to use this sword on other characters. I really hope so, because then this is just a free 5-star stat stick sword that anyone can use and you can put on any sword character. I heard that this was pretty good stat line for Skirk, and I imagine, again, just any sword wielders who like high base attack and need some crit rate can probably make great use of this stat line. However, what we do know for sure is that the passive on the sword only works if it's equipped by the Traveler. This passive will not work on anyone else in the game. If we can use the sword on other characters in the game, they will just have these stats right here. Anything from this point on only works on the Traveler. And the passive has a ton of really good stats for the Traveler here. So your crit damage gets increased by 6% for every element that the Traveler has resonated with. You can resonate with up to 7 elements. So basically it's just going to be 7 times whatever this number ends up being. Right now, as of recording, it's 6%. So this is 42% crit damage, but I think it might change around a bit, so keep that in mind. It's going to be 7 times whatever this number is, so it's a lot of crit damage. And also, just hitting opponents increases your attack by 40%. I should also mention that this is at R5, and we'll talk about refines later. Just hitting opponents increases your attack by 40% for 8 seconds, I believe, and it also restores 5 flat energy. This can occur once every 5 seconds, so that's basically 40% attack with 100% uptime, because I think it lasts 8 seconds and it can occur once every 5 seconds. So on the Traveler specifically, you're getting 608 base attack, 33 crit rate, possibly 42% crit damage, and 40% attack, basically unconditionally. Like all you have to be doing is hitting opponents, and this can be triggered from off field, and this is going to be important once we start talking about the Cryo Traveler's kit. And now we can talk about how you get the refines. So from descriptions that I've read, the refines come from the statues of the 7 in Snezhnaya, and I think how it's going to work is each statue of the 7 you visit counts as one upgrade or like one refine to the sword. And usually when new regions release, we don't immediately have like 5 or 6 statues of the 7 that we can visit. Normally there's only like 1 or 2, so it could also be like a redeem system. Could just be based off of like the levels as well. Like as you start leveling up each statue, you can keep getting refines from these levels as you level up the statue of the 7 in Snezhnaya. Not 100% sure how that all works yet, but know that the refines are going to have something to do with the statue of the 7. Yeah, this would be fantastic for them to give us a free 5-star weapon with honestly a really nice stat line. Obviously, it'll just be a stat stick on every other character aside from the Traveler, but I think this will just be really good, especially for newer players or free-to-play players like me who don't have that many 5-star weapons, to just have access to a really nice 5-star weapon stat line for once, for free. But this is under the assumption that you can use the weapon on other characters other than the Traveler. I'm really hoping that is the case. Okay, but now let's talk about the Cryo Traveler's kit. So quick little overview. He is a cryo on-field DPS, but from what I've gathered reading his kit, I don't think he needs that much field time. And he also does have off-field supportive capabilities as well. So if someone is taking up a lot of your field time, Cryo Traveler won't be completely useless. He does have some supportive capabilities in his constellations, and we'll get to that eventually. Yeah, so he has turrets / coordinated attacks. From video footage that we've seen in like the teasers and stuff, it seems pretty similar to like Pyro MC. If you hold the skill on Pyro MC, and it does like the Pyro coordinated attacks. Seems kind of similar to that. And he does do Stellar Conduct and Stellar Swirl damage. It's baked into his kit. So how does Cryo Traveler actually work? When you press your skill, you spawn a Frost Pierce Star, which is just an ice crystal turret. I haven't seen that much footage of it, but I'm just gonna assume it's something similar to like Escoffier's skill, where it's just constantly shooting some cryo damage at enemies. However, with Stellar Conduct Radiance active, which is just, you know, triggering Stellar Conduct, the turret turns into coordinated attacks instead. And now I interpreted this when I read the kit. It replaces the Ice Crystal turret with a coordinated attack type of turret instead. So meaning when you are doing Stellar Conduct teams with Cryo Traveler, you will have to be weaving in normal attacks in order for the ice crystals to actually hit enemies. Versus if you're outside of a Stellar Conduct team, it's just an ice crystal turret that functions a little bit more something like Escoffier's skill. That's how I interpreted it. I'm not 100% sure. It could just be active all the time and they're just calling it coordinated attacks for some reason. I don't know. And there's also like mistranslation and whatnot. If you're in a Stellar Conduct team, you'll need to weave normal attacks in between everything that you do, which most of us are pretty acclimated to at this point. If you've ever played teams with, you know, Yelan or Xingqiu, you know, you're pretty used to weaving in normal attacks in between stuff, so not that big of an issue, but just something to clarify. When these coordinated attacks or turrets ice crystals hit, I think one hit gives you 1 stack of Frost Glow, and you can have up to 8 Frost Glow stacks. Now, these Frost Glow stacks can later be consumed by your burst, and we'll talk about the burst in a second. You also have special charge attacks that generate Frost Glow stacks. I'll get back to this because this lines up with something from the passive, and so I kind of want to read the passive first and then I can come back to this, but let's talk about the burst. So the burst just seems like a mini nuke that does damage that scales depending on how many Frost Glow stacks you have, and you get an even bigger bonus if you have max Frost Glow stacks. I'm assuming there's going to be some indicator on the screen that tells you how many stacks you have, and once it says 8, you can use your burst and know that you are getting the maximum amount of damage from your burst. And the burst damage can either be Stellar Swirl or Stellar Conduct damage depending on which reaction it's actually triggering, which team you're using, if it's Stellar Swirl team or Stellar Conduct team. So now we're on to the passives. So Stellar Conduct Radiance, again, this is just when you trigger Stellar Conduct, you get a permanent cryo infusion on the Traveler, and you also get a damage bonus that scales based on the Traveler's attack, which is pretty cool just to have a permanent cryo infusion on the Traveler. You also get up to 7% Stellar Conduct or Stellar Swirl damage bonus based on the Traveler's attack. This is very similar to a lot of the Nodcry character kits. Each point of attack gives you X% of lunar charge damage, or each point of EM gives you X% of lunar bloom damage, right? Very similar, but instead of lunar charge or lunar bloom, it's Stellar Conduct or Stellar Swirl damage, and instead of 14%, it's only 7%. You also get another one of these stat bonuses based on the Traveler's attack, but it's EM instead, up to 160 EM based on the Traveler's attack. Passives like this are usually pretty trivial to activate. As long as you're just building him how you're supposed to be building him, you'll probably get these unconditionally, so not really something to like specifically build for. I think it'll just happen. Now, this is what I was talking about on the last panel with the special charge attack. So you can gain up to 3 ice point stacks when a party member triggers stellar reactions, and you can only gain 1 stack every 2 seconds. So you trigger stellar reactions, you gain ice point stacks up to 3, and it's going to take about 6 seconds, probably a little bit longer usually. And when you get 3 stacks, you can consume them with a special charge attack, and this charge attack can be converted to stellar reaction damage if the corresponding stellar radiance is active. But let me go back really quick to the special charge attack. These special charge attacks also generate Frost Glow stacks, and something that's really important to mention is, as of right now, when I was reading the kit, you can only do this once every 15 seconds. So this isn't something that you can keep triggering over and over again. This is kind of like a once in a rotation type of deal. And this is why I said towards the beginning, I don't think he really needs that much field time, because he only gets one of these special charge attacks once in a rotation. So what I feel like his normal gameplay loop is going to be like, you probably start off with your Cryo Traveler skill. That way your skill starts getting some ice crystal hits that start stacking up your Frost Glow. And then you start going onto your other characters, right? Like maybe Yaimiko or Odette, Diona, Beto, whoever. And you start triggering some stellar reactions. And this starts building up your ice point stacks as well. Then by the time you're done and you swap back to your Traveler, you should most likely have most of your Frost Glow stacks and probably all of your ice point stacks as well. And then you'll do your special charge attack that gives you even more Frost Glow stacks, and then you'll for sure have it. And then once you have your max Frost Glow stacks, you can do your burst for some big damage. And then at that point, you kind of used everything that Cryo Traveler can do, and you could probably have some time to swap to a different character at this point. But depending on how your team looks, you could also just stay on Cryo Traveler and just keep normal attacking on him until maybe his skill comes back, and then use his skill again and just start the rotation over again. All right, now we got to talk about his constellations, because this is where the Traveler starts to have some supportive, like off-field supportive capabilities as well. So his C1 gives you 5 energy when stellar reactions are triggered, and this can occur once every 0.5 seconds. I don't think you're going to be triggering stellar conduct every 0.5 seconds, but basically you are getting a ton of flat energy from this C1. The Cryo Traveler also gets a bunch of energy from the new 5-star weapon, right, which also gives you 5 flat energy up to every 5 seconds. This is really good because this means on Cryo Traveler you can just ignore energy completely and just build full damage stats. I highly doubt you will have to worry about energy recharge at all as a stat once you have C1. You can just build full damage. At C2, you give 60 EM to the active character when an ice crystal hits, and if this ice crystal triggers a stellar reaction, then it gives 120 EM instead. So this is pretty nice. It's essentially a 60 EM buff that's as long as his skill is up and hitting enemies, and 120 EM if it triggers a stellar reaction. So really nice on-field EM buffs there. At C4, your Frost Pierce Star, which is your skill, the Ice Turret or the coordinated attacks, get a duration increase. I think it basically turns into 100% uptime at C4, which is nice. And C6 is pretty big in terms of supportive capabilities. Your consumed Frost Glow stacks give up to 40% stellar reaction damage bonus. That's both Stellar Swirl and Stellar Conduct to all nearby party members for 15 seconds. I think as of right now, you don't actually have to consume all 8 Frost Glow stacks in order to receive this entire bonus. I think you only have to consume like 5 or 6 maybe, but you might as well consume all 8 of the stacks anyways, because you just get more damage with the Cryo Traveler and you'll get this full bonus as well. So just a quick little recap. Your skill spawns a Frost Pierce Star, which is just an ice crystal turret, but when you're in Stellar Conduct Radiance, it's actually some coordinated attacks instead, so you'll have to weave in normal attacks for it to work. Your ice crystal hits give you Frost Glow stacks, and once you have max Frost Glow stacks, you can use your burst to do big damage. You can use your burst at any point, but using it at max stacks makes it do a lot more damage and have a lot more hits. As you trigger stellar reactions, you will gain ice point stacks, and once you have 3 stacks, you can do a special charged attack that also gives you Frost Glow stacks, which help your burst, but this special charge attack can only be used once every 15 seconds, so it's kind of like a once a rotation type of thing. And his constellations give him some really nice energy generation, EM buffs to the on-field character, and stellar reaction damage bonus to nearby party members. So yeah, overall, I think he's pretty cool. We really have to see how his numbers turn out, but I think overall, just as like from a kit and seeing how many stats he's getting from the new 5-star sword, I feel like he's going to be pretty good. Actually, at least he's not going to be completely useless. Like even if his damage isn't that good, you can still use him to give 60 to 120 EM to the on-field character and 40% stellar reaction damage bonus. And that's if his damage is completely bad, but I don't think his damage is going to be that bad at all, but we'll have to wait and see till the end of the beta. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about the Cryo Traveler's kit. I think it would have been cool to see a full support, like a full-on supportive Cryo Traveler instead of sort of this hybrid, like quick swap on-field DPS slash some supportive capabilities. I think a full support would have been kind of nice, but maybe that's too much to ask for. Also, I would like to mention that I should be streaming the new quest and the new area and the events, all that stuff very soon. You can follow me on Twitch down here, NoodleGI. I should be streaming on YouTube as well, but sometimes my internet is a little bit wonky, and when that happens, I usually turn off the YouTube stream and only stream on Twitch, so make sure to follow me on there. Anyways, thank you for sticking around to the end of the video, and I will see you guys around. Bye bye.
いないと今にはなくて昔は